Hey everyone, it's Mike Andes. We are doing the call-in show. I haven't done one of these for several weeks, if not a couple months now. And I wanted to hop back on today, slot this in real quick. I've been pretty busy, but if you have a question, make sure you call the number below 361-733-3332. That is the number to call. And today I'll be answering any questions you might have about business, any industry, any sides of business that you want to talk about. We can do that. I only have about 30 to 40 minutes and then I have to run. So if you have a question, hop on the phone line and you'll be given priority. Today, I'm focusing on service-based businesses. I don't care if you are doing fencing, roofing, construction, cleaning, lawn care, landscaping, whatever type of home service business you are in. For decades, we have been looked at as quote unquote only laborers, only landscapers, only people that do lawn care, the people who sweat and do labor. And what's really interesting is over the past 6 to 12 months, the first time literally since 2005, 2006, 2007, even 2000, 2001, when we had the tech bubble pop, for the first time, these type of industries are getting a lot of attention because they actually make money. For the past 20 to 30 years, everyone has been focused on the big tech companies and the flashy new technologies, when in reality, these industries that are quote unquote boring, that don't have a lot of pizzazz, they can't scale infinitely, they can't put one piece of code and sell it a million times. It takes sweat equity, it takes human capital, and it takes a lot of work. Now, all of a sudden, these are going to become the highlights over the next 12 to 24 months when you go into a recession and everyone now is cash strapped. Guess who's laying off right now? Apple, Facebook, Google, Netflix. All these companies that have been admired for the past 15 or 20 years are now laying people off. Guess who's not laying off people? Home industries, people that are actually getting work done around these properties and around people's residential and commercial properties. We're the ones still hiring. We're the ones still looking to expand and grow our businesses, despite big tech falling off and beginning to really falter like they haven't done for the past 20 years. They've somehow been able to have 60, 70 multiples on revenue and 60, 70%, 60 and 70 times earnings when it comes to their stock price. And yet we somehow can't get 3 or 4 in our industry. And yet we make all the profit. And they still, some of them can't figure out how to make a profit. And so I think it's going to be really interesting over the next couple years as we head into recession. The industries that are going to get the most attention will be the ones that are the most profitable. We have our first caller coming in from Anderson, South Carolina. For those of you who are calling in, please just be respectful of everyone else's time and keep your questions nice and short. Anderson, South Carolina, I think that's who is calling in. Go ahead and, whoa, what's this up? Cannot change. Uh-oh, here we go. It terminated the call. Sorry, I apologize. I might have clicked the wrong button because they've changed the formatting on my call-in show. So I think your name is Peter from South Carolina. Feel free to give us a call back. Actually, I think I can call you back. Let's see if this works. I've never done this before. See if this works. Sorry, I think I hung up on this person. Peter, can you hear me? Calling. I don't think it's going to work. I apologize to whoever called in. If you'd like to give us a call, 361-733-3332, and we can answer the questions. I'll drop that one. Oh, there we are. Hey, how's it going?
My phone right now.
Oh, no.
Your name, number, and a brief message.
Drop. Sorry. Drop the call. I apologize. That was my bad. Okay, I think, yeah. Okay, the lines are back open. I had to reset it. Feel free to give us a call in 361-733-3332. A question that came in from Brent. Why do you prefer having multiple locations compared to doing one MU? I don't know what MU means, but the reason for that is because it's a lot easier to find an operator for a location that's 500 to 800,000 in revenue compared to a location that's 2 million in revenue. So it's a lot easier to scale across the entire country. So for example, like in North Carolina, I personally am opening up 4 locations next spring. And I'm not having anything to do with that. It's a lot easier to find 4 operators for locations that will do 500 to 800,000 compared to finding 1 or 2 that are going to be doing 2 million plus in revenue. It's just a different level of expertise, experience, and compensation that you have to find for that type of individual. Next caller is on the show. I appreciate you calling in from Stoneham. What's up?
Hey, Mike, this is JR. Very big fan of you. Been following you since like the first few videos and big fan. Uh, so we just getting into the gist of it really quick. This year we're just around 530,000 between two crews. One is the mowing and the other one is the maintenance, like the trimming, the shrubs, and all of that stuff. And now, next season, I'm getting out of the field. I usually do the trimmings and all of that other stuff, the landscape part. But what I'm scared of is that once I get out of the field and just go do the sailing and all of that stuff, um, the quality's not going to be there anymore. And like, I don't know what to do to like fill in the schedule for the other crew. You know what I mean?
So,
Any suggestions or anything that you can think of?
so what data do you have to believe that you getting out of the field is going to lead to lower quality? Because at 500,000 in revenue over that, you're already having unmanaged labor. Like your employees are already doing the work.
No, I am doing. So I have the mowing crew, which is 3 guys,
Mhm.
and
I
they
see.
do
You're
the
doing the
mowing.
trimming side.
Correct.
You're more concerned about the trimming
And
side.
yeah, I'm doing the maintenance. Yeah, I'm doing like the landscaping, the plantings,
Yeah,
and
like
everything
if it's a
else that
big
goes with
concern,
it.
if it's a big concern to you that quality is going to fail, when you get off the trimming side, have someone start with you in the truck and you train them on trimming. It might be 3 months if you're that perfectionist that you really focus on training them up to do it the way you want. That being said, it might be a time when, okay, if you have 3 crews doing mowing and you're the only one doing trimming, the question has to be asked, what percentage of your revenue is coming from trimming? Because if it's only 15 or 20% of your revenue, it might be something you let go if it's such a big deal to you that you think quality is going to fail when you leave. I think you'll be surprised in that mowing is actually, in a way, sometimes harder to create systems around than trimming bushes because it is something that has bigger pieces of equipment and it's also something that is way
Yeah,
more subjective. Go ahead.
yeah, correct. Like I feel like it's not only trimming that we do. We do irrigation. We do all of the other stuff. You know what I mean?
So you basically
So
do
like
everything besides
I'm the
mowing.
guy that
You do.
does. Yeah, correct. Yeah, the mowing crew will just do the mowing, then
What
my crew will just do everything else.
what percentage of your revenue
You
comes
know,
from things besides mowing?
so the mowing you're looking at about it's I would say 50-50. Maybe 55% is mowing, and then everything else. Let's say 45% is everything else, the other jobs, and like just running the business. You know,
And is your goal to scale up massively, like 1 million plus, or are you thinking like 700,000-800,000, but you out of the field?
I Mike, if I'm gonna go do it, I want to do it massively. You know what I mean? I'm not here to play around. If I'm gonna do it, I want to make sure that I'm doing it and it's worth my time. You know, and it's worth my guys' time because it's not. It doesn't make sense just to do it half-assed. Pardon me, like halfway. You know,
Well,
it's either you do it or you do it.
then you have
You
to
know?
ask yourself with the end in mind, are you ever going to get to 1 million plus without with you still in the truck doing all the work besides mowing? No. So like
No,
just have
no.
the end
I
in
am.
mind and
I
pull
am.
the trigger. And in terms of, yes, there will be like, just settle with it yourself that there's going to be less quality. There's going to be more complaints. You're going to have some callbacks. You're going to have to work more on training. You might have to cut out a couple of those ancillary services like irrigation or something if it's becoming a massive issue with training or finding employees for that. But that is just part of the game if you want to try to grow to 1 million plus. So don't let it discourage you.
Yeah,
Start with
and
the end in mind.
okay. Okay. I feel like I am the biggest bottleneck when it comes to my business because I don't let things go very easy and just like looking. Yeah, that's gonna be the hard part. I believe next season.
Yeah, I would cut out the
And
most complicated of the services that you feel you can't train other people on or that lead to the most callbacks. Cut those out first
uh-huh.
and then scale up the other
Yep.
ones and make sure it's simple service that you can train other people. And then you can always add those other services in later on if you get a crew of guys that are hungry to keep learning and they're not making those callbacks and those mistakes. But don't let the issue of quality, because quality is subjective, and keep in mind that what's better for the customer is that because you've scaled up and you have systems in place and you have a lot more people than just you, now you can offer those services in a much more scheduled manner, because now not all depending on you. Like if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, guess what? All those customers going to be very unhappy. If you create systems where
Correct.
other employees can do that job, you're creating not only a more balanced business, but it's better for the customer, because if anything happens to you, they'll still be happy.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, brother.
Makes
Go
sense.
get it. Take care.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye. All right. Next caller is coming from Grand Prairie, Texas. At least so says my software. Welcome to the show. Oh, you might be on mute. It says the caller's name is Melissa. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, how's
Am
it
I on the
going?
line?
Yeah, you're on.
It's good, man. Hey, Stephen here with EcoMo Lawn and Landscape down here in Dallas. Good to see you out at the Quit, by the way.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Got a quick question for you.
Mhm.
We're all kind of wondering, we're all looking for a new CRM out there. Are you guys going to be rolling one out?
You'll have to come to conference to find out.
Well, we're excited. I think we were all, we're all on different software systems right now, and we're obviously looking for that perfect solution. We're about 50% maintenance and 50% landscaping. And we struck out with everybody that we visited with, and kind of hoping that you guys are going to be bringing something out.
I hope so too.
Yeah?
That's all I can give you. Yeah, we'll be having
That's all you can give.
we'll have an announcement in pertaining to this at conference. But yep, I am 100% on board. I agree with everything you said.
Super.
All right, brother.
Keep it
Take
up,
care.
Mike.
I
Later.
appreciate it. Bye. All right, next caller says it's coming from Kentucky. You're up. Said it's from Lacey. I don't know if that's true. Oh, drop the call. Next call. 860, you're on.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, how's it going?
Can you?
I can hear
Good.
you.
My name is Nick Adelaide. I'm from Lyme, Connecticut here. I've technically two businesses. So I started a property maintenance business probably about 2 years back. But I'm, looking to get out of that because at that time, I also started like a mobile detailing thing, more of like a side hustle.
Okay.
And that really took off, and that's really more where my heart is. So currently getting out of the property maintenance stuff, but a lot of the stuff that, I've watched from you and learned has kind of transitioned over. One of my big things for me that I think kind of hurts my business, I would say, would be keeping on top of communication with customers, letting people know, hey, this is, what's going on, just kind of following up and all that.
Yep.
My biggest issue is, after I'm done working in the field all day, I have a CRM, I'm using Jobber. So I have those lead forms. My biggest thing is, I get home maybe 6, 7, 8, even later, sit down as I am right now, just getting off the job. And a lot of the times it's, a little too late to make those phone calls. Sometimes I'll shoot text, but a lot of times I just get behind with that and, my classes, all that. I was wondering, because I know you went to school while you were still, mowing and all that. Was there a strategy that you found worked well for you to, keep on top of everything?
Yeah, so like I would do all my emails and text messages at night because people usually don't care if they get an email in the middle of the night in terms of like my quotes
Yeah.
and things like that. And then I would just try to schedule like a 30 to 40-minute block in the middle of my day at school to make my phone calls. So if there were specific things that I had to do that were phone calls. So this is why having an automated follow-up system is really helpful, because for invoice collection as well as for estimates to have something automated. So it would just stack up for me. Like I had 5 things I needed to knock out. I would block off between my classes. Like, here's my 30 minutes. I'm going to knock those out. But then all like my estimate creation, sending out invoices. Like I still remember to this day where I stayed up 48 hours in a row because I had to get all my mowings, the mowing done. I had my classes. I had my Anytime Fitness training, and then I had to send the invoices out. So like every single time, like the first of every month, no sleep, usually for at least a day or two for me, because like it was exactly what you said, and that is doing the work during the day. Then I had school at night. Then I'd come back home, do invoicing all night long. Then you got to go do the jobs, right? So it's part of the grind where you're at now. But I would try to govern like a 30 to 40-minute block in the middle of the day where you have a very detailed, these are the people I have to call, here's what I have to say, these are the things I have to knock out. Because the things at night you can do is just email, text. That's time insensitive.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I think that's probably gonna be what I'm gonna do when I move forward, because I've about a 30-minute commute to school, back and forth, and from there, I mean, I have chatted on the phone a couple times with customers, just talking. So I think I'll probably try and take advantage of that, and once I get back to my shop, kind of grabbing the trailer, getting ready for whatever appointment I have scheduled. That's probably where I'll kind of sit down and kind of go through that list. But no, I really appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Absolutely. You got it. Yeah. And for anyone out there, like, you gotta have a very systematized way. If you're going through school or you're doing a part-time business on the side, you got to have it where you know exactly what time of day you're going to make the phone calls. And then as you scale up, switch over into having a virtual assistant or someone answering the calls for you. Because if it's only 5 or 10 a day, it's worth the $10, $15 for them to handle it. All right. I dropped the call on you. I apologize. Go ahead. You're on. 864.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
I can. I apologize.
Hey, no, you're good. Yeah, we got disconnected earlier. I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan of the show, and your advice has helped me grow my business a lot. But next year, right now, we're going to finish out this year with about 160,000 in revenue, and I've had one guy with me since May. I'm wanting to triple that next year, and it seems like a balancing act between keeping the right amount of employees and still keeping enough work around to keep them busy. Typically, how far out do you normally get booked out before you say, hey, we need to hire someone and bring them on?
Yeah, so we typically look for 3 weeks booked out when we're scaling up a location before we hire somebody. And what we're trying to work on with P4P right now, the software, is to be able to predict when that's going to be. Because the problem is if you wait till when you're 3 weeks booked out and then you'll find someone that's good, they give their 2 weeks notice, and now 6 weeks later, you're now 5 weeks, 6 weeks booked out. And so you get way behind in the spring rush. So we're trying to anticipate that demand. So what I would do if I was you is look at like last year, look at your calendar and see how many budget hours were complete each week. And just simply, that is your graph of your seasonality. And you should be able to accurately predict when you need to actually have someone start, and then go 3 weeks before that. And that's when you need to start hiring, right? Because if you find a good person, typically they're going to be giving their 2 weeks. The person who can start tomorrow or start today is not the best job, applicant typically. And so just look at your demand from last year and then go 3 weeks prior to that time. And that's when you're going to be placing ads, interviewing, et cetera. And that will typically set you up much better than trying to wait for that 3 week marker before you start looking to hire.
Right. I get that. And last year, the first week of February was when our spring rush actually started, but we didn't market at all last year until 2 weeks ago when I sent out door mailers. This year, I'm looking at spending roughly $10,000 in marketing, and I don't know if that's going to front load like the crazy spring rush.
Are you going to spend? Are you going to spend that money? Are you going to spend that money in marketing during the spring rush?
Well, going by what you said in the past, that's the most efficient time because there's more people looking. But I'm thinking about doing about 7,500 then, and then 2,500 about the same time, just to stir up some winter business, because we only have one commercial property, and we're price per cut. So in the winter, after the leaves fall and everything, we're we're basically done unless we get some mulch or river rock installation, stuff like that. And I really want to keep a team, like a skeleton crew, through next winter. That way I have some solid people to start out the following spring rush, 2023 to 2024. Speaking.
Absolutely. And I'm only cutting people off because we got to move on. But this is a great point, and that is if you're looking to hire up during the spring rush, what I would focus on, instead of trying to equalize out your demand using marketing, which is very expensive to spend money during the winter. Number one, have winter services where you get your recurring customers to convert into winter services. I've talked about that a lot before. Second thing is, try to set up your labor to expect having certain hours that are cut during the winter. And then you'd be amazed that if you just set them up with that expectation from the beginning, it'll be just fine. They won't complain about it if you told them, look, from March to November, you're going to have all the hours in the world. These 3 months, you might get only 20 hours or 15 hours. And if you want to go get another job, you have a guaranteed position when you come back. Just be upfront and honest with them and set the expectation for them, instead of trying to do a bunch of marketing during the worst time of the year to do that, which is during the winter, when your customer acquisition cost will literally be 4 to 10 times more than it will during the spring rush. If you actually track your customer acquisition cost during when demand is high in the spring rush versus when there's no demand in the winter, when you're just trying to create work for your crew, you'll be amazed. Like, you will never make money if you're always spending your money in marketing during the winter. But the problem is whether or not you can get the employees and the trucks and equipment to actually scale that up using the 7,500 during the spring rush. So if you can plan for that and have the employees ready, ideally you spend the money then. Next caller, 252. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike. I know you're running tight on time, so I'll get right into it. I'm in year 3. We're going to finish right at $350,000 this year. We got $60K in the bank. Main 2 problems I'm looking at is I need some shop space, and I'm just want some pointers on marketing moving into the spring. What can you tell me just as overall?
What's the biggest bottleneck right now? Is it getting shop space, or is it growing in terms of like marketing?
Probably marketing. I have a good shop space at my house. The main problem is we're 20 to 30 minutes from our main core area. So it'll definitely help once we do move, but it's really to cut down on travel time, not necessarily that we absolutely have to have it.
Got it. And so right now, do you have a really good website right now?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm in the top 3. I actually just talked with your group about the web design, which I'm going to sign up on right here soon, so I can hopefully be easily number 1 by the time the spring gets here.
That's probably the best use of your money right now. Typically, when I see people stalling out around 250 to 350, if they don't have a good website, that's the thing that literally will just double or triple their business. Especially because you are done it for 3 years. You have goodwill in the market. You have trucks rolling around. You have decent amount of word of mouth happening. I would just say, number 1, focus on your website. Number 2, the more thing that you can control more is focus on upselling existing customers and keeping them warm, which is send them emails on a monthly basis, sending them one-click estimate emails based upon specific services, based upon what time of year is most relevant to that service. So for example, right now it's December, whether that be property cleanups, getting them ready for the Christmas season. In January, is that taking down Christmas lights? Is that in February? Is it spring cleanups? Is it March? Is it mowing? Whatever it is, just keep them warm, because at your size now, 3 years in, you probably have 700 to 1,000 contacts in your database. And I guarantee you, if you email them every single month, you'll be getting multiple estimates for free, 0 customer acquisition cost, simply by staying in touch with them. So that's typically the thing I see would take someone from 300,000 to 6 to 7.
Okay, gotcha. One last thing. On the shop space, commercial versus like a residential and or out in the county type thing, I know I've heard your preferences on other videos. Is there a lot of cost associated with the commercials that you don't like, or just more you want to have to do what you want, I guess?
It just depends. If you can find a location that's commercial land that's been for sale for quite a while, sometimes they'll rent it out for a decent price. But typically, if you have commercial land that has like a structure on it, you're literally going to be paying triple or quadruple what you would be paying if it was residential, like on a farmland or something like that. So ideally, the perfect scenario when you're pinching pennies would be out in the country. I think secondary is, can you buy something and build out, your shop space and kind of house hack, like take a piece of property and somehow fix it up, do like some of it as a rental or like above the shop or something like that. And then third would be like looking for farm or residential land in the county where you're not going to get in trouble for it. You don't bother the neighbors, and you can usually get that for like the cheapest, pennies on the dollar kind of thing.
Sure. And how much do you factor in your travel on that kind of stuff? That, like I was saying, that's one of my main things is like the travel time.
We typically don't want to be
cities with
we typically don't want to be more than 10 to 15 minutes from the core of where our demographic is at.
Yeah.
That being said, we really try to focus on like 3 to 5 miles max. Like I'm doing 4 new locations, like I said, next spring. They're all 3-mile radiuses. And so when we look at finding a shop space, it's going to be like, we want it right in the middle. It's going to be down to like a very small area. And that's typically when you're going to go with a storage facility to get started, and then take a little bit of time as you pass 300,000-400,000 to go find some land, because you're really zeroed yourself in. And so if you're between 2 cities, like you mentioned, that's when it's a matter of, okay, let's look at a map. Let's see where all of our customers are at. And then like, where's the perfect spot? And then work your way out from there in terms of what's available, in terms of what's on the market. And then a matter of like literally going online, posting on Craigslist, Nextdoor, local Facebook groups, and just asking for people that would potentially want to subdivide or give you some land at the back of their shop space. Like contractors, a lot of times will have like 2-acre graveled lots and they have like 3 trucks on it. And they're happy to give you it for an extra $1,000 a month that you pay them.
Sure. Cool. All right, Mike, I really appreciate it.
Awesome. You got it. Take care. Next caller's coming in from 270. I'm not going to say the names anymore. Oh, wait, this person was already on. Hey, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Did we drop out before?
Yes, that's my fault. I was actually driving.
You're good. What's up?
I had a question as far as, and I know probably the answer because I follow you quite a bit. We have a problem with our employees as far as how do you handle as far as taking care of the equipment, tools, etc. And I know you're P4P and as far as that side of it, but my 100% against it. No matter how I try to persuade it, explain it, they 100% want hourly. They don't mind to work 70, 80 hours a week, but they want hourly.
Mm-hmm.
But how could I get them to understand that equipment is essential?
Okay, so you broke up there a little bit. So first and foremost, there's a problem, that is they don't want to do the P4P. They just want hourly. The second part, how does equipment fit into that? Is that a matter of they want to be on hourly only for equipment maintenance?
No, just like for an example, like I know the pay for performance as far as, I guess as far as it's like tools, how do you keep your guys accountable? How do you hold your guys accountable as far as your hedge trimmers and your mowers and stuff like that, as far as them taking care of it?
Totally. Great question. So in terms of P4P, when it comes to equipment maintenance, we keep care of maintain the equipment. If it is something major outside of their control, like let's just take, for example, a motor on a mower blows in the middle of the day. If there was no oil in the engine, I'm going to look at that as the fault of the employee, because they should be checking the engine oil really quickly, the dipstick in the morning. If that engine blows because it's been 5 years and it's been a gazillion hours on the thing, and it's obviously the company's fault because we didn't replace it, that's not going to be their fault. We're going to make sure that when they're driving to the dealer or coming back to the shop, they're going to get paid base pay for that time. So anything that is not their fault when it comes to equipment maintenance or failure, they're going to get paid for that time on hourly, like on base pay. If there's anything that's their fault, it's on their time. So if they make a mistake, if they like I've seen several guys where they go out with flat tires, and so instead of because as it gets colder, the air pressure goes down, they're like, oh, we'll just make it happen, instead of putting air in during the morning, and so they want to go faster. Well, during the middle of the day, something happens because of that. Now all of that time wasted is on their time, and so what this does is make them more accountable to checking their equipment in the morning. But again, if something breaks, that is negligence, like they back up the truck over a rake and it breaks, that rake cost is a yellow slip, and it's coming out of their performance dollars, if they have any, at the end of the paycheck. If they break it because they're using it over the course of the day and it just snaps in half because of overuse over the past years and years, then that's not their fault. So that's kind of the balance. And on a case-by-case basis, some of the things you will have to address. But the bigger problem I think that you're facing is them just not wanting P4P in general. How does that tie into the maintenance? Or is this like kind of like one piece of a bigger problem?
Well, I mean, everything. They're great employees, and this is going to sound bad, but they're Spanish. In their mindset, they just want hours. They think they just want hours. They feel like that more hours they get, better they're going to get. And I try to explain this, that the P4P is going to be better for them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they think that they just don't. I mean, no matter how I show it, I show them the numbers, I show it. Everything that you have taught, I show it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no matter what, they want it, the hours. And the thing is, I'm trying to implement it where it's hourly pay versus where they're accountable for their tools. Because just for an example, a little while back, I know you're short on time. Just what we did last week. For an example, we bought 2 new hedge trimmers. I sent it out with my guys. I said, because they're very, very hard on hedge trimmers. For some odd reason, within a month, they're broke. Okay? Well, all of a sudden, I told them, I said, well, if you use these hedge trimmers and they break within a month or whatever the case may be, you're responsible. You are going to buy new hedge trimmers. Well, for some odd reason, these hedge trimmers are gold now. they are getting put inside the trucks. They're gold. And so, therefore, I didn't know if there's anything legally we can hold them accountable because they work very, very hard. Very, very hard.
Yeah.
They work very good.
Yeah.
But as far as their accountability on the tools, they really don't care.
Yep.
And
So,
I guess that's my fault.
Totally. So first and foremost, especially considering that they probably have language barriers and all the rest of it, there is inherent distrust towards any boss that tries to change the compensation structure because it is probably the wisest thing for them to not believe that the employers think in their best interest because the vast majority of people don't. So given that if you step back and you actually want what's best for them, you want to obviously protect equipment, make the business successful, but you also value them. You've talked very highly of them in terms of their work ethic. This is how you pitch it to them. First and foremost, because they don't trust you right now, that's fine. Don't worry about that. Track the numbers in the background and then let them decide every single paycheck. You're going to print them out and you're saying, here's what you made on P4P. Here's what you made on hourly. Which one do you want? And you do that 2 or 3 pay periods and they always are picking P4P because you're going to know the numbers in the background. Because this is what's going to happen. You're going to get, let's just say you have 4 guys working for you. One of them is not going to perform very well. That person is the person you're going to let go. The other 3, after seeing 2, 3, 4 paychecks where they're making $300, $400, $500 more on P4P, they're going to want P4P. And so what you're going to say is like, look, here's the numbers. This individual we let go was lowest performer. Now, because of P4P, you guys are all getting way more done, and we don't even need to hire another person to recoup and get all these other hours done that when we let this other person go. And you guys are all making $400 or $500 more per hour. Why don't we just go ahead and implement this so that way, as we add to the team, it keeps everyone accountable to be working hard, and you guys are never frustrated by new employees and people like whatever his name is. They're not going to want to stick around because they're going to be breaking equipment. They're going to be lazy and they're not going to make money on P4P, and we're going to get rid of them. But what I would focus on is just let the math do the work for you. And what you'll do in the back end is know what that percentage of labor that percentage of labor revenue that you're currently paying the employees goes slightly above that, even 1 or 2%. And that's the percentage you're going to pay on P4P. So you know they're going to make more money. And when they catch that, watch it go up 20, 30%, like how much more efficient they are. And so again, you will literally just ask them at the end of every paycheck, do you want hourly or do you want P4P? And you'll just show them the numbers. And after 3 or 4 paychecks, they will want to switch to P4P, and they'll be so much faster. You'll be able to cut your lowest performing employee or 2.
I like it. That's perfect.
Awesome.
Because, I mean, like you said, the numbers won't lie.
Absolutely. That's the only thing they'll trust. Right. Best of luck to you. All right. Next caller's coming in from 727. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, Mike, this is Trey here. I spoke to you about a year and a few months ago on a consulting call. So just a quick few questions.
What was your name again? Because
what
was your name? What was your name? Because if you did a consulting call, I probably remember. What was your name?
Trey.
And where are you from?
Florida.
Okay, fire away. Yep.
Yep. So I have two guys now that are working with me, and we're on maintenance. I'm trying to like stir away of me getting out of the field on maintenance and dig more into the landscaping.
Why?
Why? It just seems more profitable. The maintenance is like pretty low margin.
What evidence
more
do you,
drive time.
what evidence do you have that it is more profitable?
So for instance, we can do a $2,000 job in a day instead of, say, we're at $40 a cut on maintenance, and we can do about 20 properties, which is $800 paying them, for instance.
Okay. How many mowing customers do you currently have?
We're at about 100.
And so
Some commercial, some residential.
if you raised all their average price by $5 per cut, do you think you'd probably lose what, 10, 15 maybe?
Yeah.
So if your average cut price is $40 and you said just right now that you could raise them all by $5 per cut and probably lose 10 or 15 of them, but probably next spring rush fill all of their spots within a matter of a few weeks of the spring rush. So we literally are going to increase our prices by 15%. That 15% is straight profit. So if you're doing 10% now, you're now doing 25% profit margin. And so what I would challenge you, instead of going adding more services, especially hardscaping where you need more experienced employees, bigger trucks, bigger equipment, instead of doing that, focus on what you're currently doing, raise the prices to the point where now the profit margins are actually just as high, if not higher, and you're not going to have to go get more equipment, trucks, and the experience level of your onboarding team is not going to have to be any more. I'm not saying you shouldn't do landscaping, but don't go into landscaping because there's more margins. Because like everyone goes into it because the higher price per day, like you just mentioned, but what they don't realize is that there's no recurrence to it. So you can't sell the same job mowing 50 times in a year. You can't sell it 1,000 times over the course of someone's lifetime. And secondarily, you need bigger trucks, bigger equipment. You have to have a sale for every single job now. It's harder to get out of the business. Now you have to focus on design, build, like how deep you go into it is irregardless. Even a property cleanup, though, is a one-time job. It's something you're going to have to be involved in, especially as the business grows, far more so than you getting a route of jobs. If you have 100 right now, you raise the price by $5. If there's 4 cuts in a month, that is 100 times 5. That's $500 per week times 4. That's $2,000 in straight profit at the end of the year just by you raising your price. And so I would challenge you to do that first and then ask yourself if getting into landscaping is more profitable. Because everyone goes, like the mentality that you have is exactly what I had 7-8 years ago, starting Augusta Lawn Care, and it costed me hundreds of thousands of dollars and 3 to 5 years that I could have circumnavigated just by figuring this one thing out. And that is that no service is more profitable than the other. It's how well you execute against it, because the market will ultimately drive profit margins to about the same amount in any service industry. And so what you have to figure out is how do you create a brand and a service around any one of those services to be able to create a higher margin than any other company. That is a business worth making. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do. So, like, I have those guys focused on maintenance, and I want to keep them on maintenance and keep growing maintenance. But I'm at the point now where I can trust them to kind of go out and keep on with the smaller details and stuff like that while I'm doing. It's not like hardscaping; it's more like sod, mulch, plants, and stuff like that. But the question with that is, like, so on the quotes, I'm sending them detailed quotes, and I'm learning on a lot of the jobs. I feel like the customers are seeing the numbers with the details, and it's kind of throwing them off. Like, do you guys just send, like, if it's a $2,000 job, do you detail each objective, or you just detail in one job $2,000 and then have the details in the quote, but just the one price instead of detailing each price? Okay, this is 200, this is 300.
Yeah, so when it comes to project-based work, we really try to focus on breaking down the job notes as much as detail as possible, and our job notes become our estimate notes become our job notes. So exactly what the customer sees is what the crew sees. And furthermore, when it comes to blocking down a big project, the only reason we're going to do that is there's very easy blocks on a job. For example, if you're doing an entire backyard, I'm not going to just do backyard landscape and list off 100 things. I'm going to do patio, mulch, planting as separate line items, but it needs to be delineated things that could be done separately. Don't do like, no, I'm going to do $200 for picking up the plants and $300 for putting the soil around the plants. And then, like, don't break it down that much when it comes to price. Have that in the notes, but then the actual parts that we break out for price differences are going to be only things that could be done by themselves. Next caller. Sorry that the calling queue's completely filled up. Next caller is 850. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Mike. Hey, I was just wondering. So around me, I have a 2006 Tacoma, and it's got like a 5-foot bed, so it's not massive. And there's also not a great place to dump around here. So a lot of things I'm doing is like pulling out bushes, like trimming like bigger bushes, like where there's like bigger branches and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering if you had any advice of like finding like a place to dump almost. I don't know if like tree companies will like let you dump, or if you have any experience with that.
Yeah, one quick idea. I'm going to drop people out and then answer your question. No offense, okay? So I will answer the question. One thing you might want to think about if you have a lot of branches is get one of those cheap 6-inch chippers, and then have a dumpster, like a construction dumpster that they can bring to your house. They can be like 10, 20-yard dumpsters. You might take an entire season to fill that thing up if you're just chipping up all your small branches into that dumpster, and then you have them haul it away one time a year or twice a year, whatever it is. If you're at small scale, like he was talking about this one truck, that's a very good option. You might literally pay $300-400 to get the thing hauled to the dump, and you do that once or twice a year. That's an option, especially if you're doing a lot of bushes and branches that can be chipped up. Next caller's from 304. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me. I got a couple questions. Don't want to take up too much of your time. I'll try and be quick. I am currently active duty military and do not have any sort of lawn business right now, but I have a pretty strong business acumen, and I'm hoping to get out in the next year or two. So I'm putting together different business models, and really like the landscaping business model and the options with that. My question is it worth trying to either get on a job with somebody who already has a successful landscaping business, for 4 to 6 months to kind of learn the business, the minutia, and just the tactile skills of cutting while mowing while landscaping? Or is this something that you think I could probably just start on my own and learn the skills and the in-between knowledge just from starting small and scaling up?
Absolutely. I think one thing I would say is if you're trying to get into the business, try to figure out the mechanical side and like the hand-to-hand, what you do in this industry before you go and start the business. Because if you like business, that's the part you already know you like. Just jumping into lawn care and going and starting your own business, you might get disillusioned with the fact that you don't actually like doing lawn care or landscaping or whatever. So ideally, in the perfect world, you find a business owner that is either filled to the gills with work and doesn't care if you're doing side jobs, or secondarily, you do services that he doesn't necessarily offer. For example, you go work with someone that does property cleanups, landscaping, and projects only, but it kind of gives you an exposure to the industry to see if you even like it, to where you could do mowing jobs on the side and actually potentially be getting jobs from him, and just go up front to them and be like, hey, look, my plan is to start my own business in 6 to 12 months. I will work like a dog for you. I want to learn a lot, and I can't promise I'm going to be here for years, but I'll definitely give you my best shot every single day when I'm here. And I'm going to be doing stuff on the side. Here's what I'm going to be doing. Be open up front with them. And if you are, and they're not doing that service, they might become your best referrer, giving you a lot of jobs that they don't want to do. Next caller is from 814. Sorry, I'm going so quickly.
Hi, I want to thank you for inspiring others to better the lives of those around them. We have stacked about $50,000 in the bank. About $8,000 of that we have spoken for into a dump truck with a snowplow. Another $8,000 into the 2x2x6 blockings to build some sort of business store anti-skid and salt. I'm curious of the remaining balance of the money we have. What would be the best thing to do with it, to invest into the snow removal side of things, or to set that money aside for spring?
Do you already have snow contracts, or is this something that you're buying the equipment previous to having jobs and schedules?
We probably plow at least 50 to 75 driveways right now, a few commercials.
Okay. And do you have more capacity, more customer capacity, given the fact that you're putting all this together in terms of equipment? Like you have 50, could you do 100?
I suppose we could. We've got the employees to do it. We have about $25,000 in zero interest debt in the lawn care equipment. All of our trucks and plows and everything are paid for free and clear, though they are older trucks. I suppose our biggest setback is things breaking down and not being able to be there for the customer.
Got it. So this is what I would personally do with that money left over. Number one, I would spend another 8 to 10, since that was just a number, you keep using 8,000, on marketing, because you want to fill the capacity to maximize the profitability of those pieces of equipment so that you're using them as much as possible. That being said, I feel like right now the reason you're not doing that is because you're afraid the equipment's going to break down. So instead of me telling you to go buy an $80,000 truck, brand new, so you don't have to worry about breakdowns, go buy another used truck that's going to literally sit in your yard and probably not be used 90% of the time, but it's going to be your backup truck. Because the reason I say that is because you can go buy another one for $15,000, $20,000 and it's your backup. And you use all the other ones, cheap insurance, all paid off, let's go. But have a backup truck to the other 3, 4, however many trucks you're going to have for snow plowing and equipment, you're mowing, whatever. But then have the backup so that way you can fill the capacity. We just talked about this in Landscape Business Course. We talk about it all the time at Augusta Nation. That is, you got your capacity in terms of trucks and equipment, you have your capacity for labor, and then you have your personal capacity. As you want to get as close, your revenue as close to those capacities as possible, because in that is where you have the highest profit margins. Next caller is from 215. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike.
What's up? What can I do for you?
Hey, quick question, really quick. Have you listened to the Electric Lawn Talk podcast yet?
No, I haven't. What's it called?
Electric Lawn Talk.
I haven't. I apologize. I don't listen to a lot. I don't listen to a lot. I will listen to it. Electric Lawn Podcast. You got it.
Electric Lawn Talk.
Lawn Talk. Okay. I'll look it up.
Thank you very much, Mike.
You got it. All right. Next caller. Okay. Next caller. Okay. We're going to get these two and then we're going to have to call it a day. Welcome to the show, 614.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. What's up?
Hey, I am a full-time truck driver for FedEx, so this is the busy season for us right now. I'm getting all the Santa Claus packages and taking them where they need to go. But I'm thinking about starting a small lawn care service next season. I'm thinking 20, 25 residential properties that I can do on my days off. And then keep working my real job so that I can buy equipment to start up 2024 with full-time lawn care.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And if you could make a video on stuff that you need to start a lawn care business with, that would be awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So first off, the second part, I'm probably not the best person for that. I would go like Brian's Lawn Maintenance, Keith Calfis. There's a bunch of other guys that probably have a really good video about that stuff, like what you need to get started in terms of equipment. So check those guys out. In terms of starting next year with 25, 30 customers and then 2024 going full time, I'm assuming you would be doing the work on the weekends next year. Is that right?
Well, actually, my days off are Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, that works out perfect.
Yeah, basically my weekend. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I think the big thing is if you can literally start just like, I'm assuming you're just wondering how to get the first 25, 30. Is that your question?
Well, what you thought about the whole idea was my question.
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome because you're going to dip your toe in it, right, and see how it goes. I would say this, assuming that you have a decent amount of capital and you could scale this, what you might play with is if next spring rush, let's just call your March, April, May is your spring rush, as those 3 months. If in March you get 20 customers, what you might want to play with is actually hiring somebody, even if it's for 3 or 4 days a week, and then they mow the lawns while you're out still working your FedEx job, and maybe you get to 50 or 60 customers. Don't be opposed to that if I was you, because that's going to be a really good segue into 2024 if you're already at 50 or 60. Because at 20 to 25 customers, you are still doing all the work yourself. If you could somehow have that intermediary of having someone else doing the work while you're not looking, it would set you up for a really good spot in 2024, just from a mental standpoint, to be able to scale the business up. What I don't want to see you do is you get locked into 20, 25 lawns next spring, you doing them for a couple days a week, and then 2024 and 2025, because you've gotten in that mindset of you do all the jobs, you go from 25 to 35 to 45, and you kind of stall there for a while. What I would push you to do, because it sounds like this is something you want to retire with, I'm assuming. Am I right on that?
Actually, I'm more looking to get out of a truck.
Got it.
I've been driving a truck more than half my life, and man, it's changed so much. I'm tired of it now.
Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 51 this year in August.
Right. So that was my
I taught
inclination.
myself to drive when I was 23.
Let's go. I would say you don't want to be in the field for years right now. You probably want to work a couple days in the field per day. What I would be afraid of is that you have physical burnout in 2024 because you switch from doing lawns 1 or 2 days a week and enjoying it because it's not in the truck. In 2024, if you've locked in that mentality and now you have 50 or 60 lawns and you're doing it 5-6 days a week and 7 days a week, it's going to burn you out physically just at your age, and that's fine. What I would recommend doing is, like I said, if you are able to market, get a website, things like invest a little bit more next spring to the point where those 3 days that you're working, your truck isn't sitting there. It's actually out doing a couple jobs. You have another employee doing something. That mentality going to 2024, where you've now got used to having someone else doing the jobs instead of just you, will serve you very well. I'm not saying your plan is wrong. I think it's a great plan, but I would just say that I think you could really help yourself and set yourself up for 2024 success by having at least a part-timer doing jobs while you're out on the truck to force yourself into that mentality versus you doing all the jobs. Because I promise you, doing it 1 or 2 days a week when you're at your age, totally fine. You're going to love every minute of it. Doing it 5 or 6 days a week with 70, 80 customers because you haven't figured out how to hire someone, get systems in place, and trust them on the jobs, that's a different story. So that would be my only word of caution.
Gotcha.
Take care, brother.
Gotcha.
Appreciate
All right,
you.
well, I
Best of
appreciate
luck.
your time.
Thanks for delivering those packages. All right, last caller, 208. You're on the show. Thanks so much. Yes, there you go. 208. There you go.
Can you hear me?
I can. What's up?
Hey, so I got a question for you, Mike, on systems.
Yes.
Hey, so do you guys use a software to build and keep track of your systems?
Do we have a what? Sorry?
Do you guys use a software to build and keep track of your systems?
What system specifically are you talking about? Because there's a system for basically every single thing in a business. Like, which specifically are you talking about?
Specifically just organizing and categorizing all of the systems that you would use, such as your process flow for how you intake the customers and keep track of that, to equipment, to basically everything like an ERP. Because right now I'm building my systems this year over, I mean, I have the systems right, but they're not on pen and paper. And right now I'm building them on pen and paper, and I'm just making like flow charts and outlines of it so that next year moving forward, I have an actual piece of paper, several pieces of paper in a binder to look at throughout the season. And then when I actually get somebody hired on, I can show that to them and say, hey, this is how we do it every single time in this category, this is what it looks like. And so my question was like, is there a specific software that you would recommend, or do you guys use them on pen and paper, or kind of how's that look for you guys?
Yep. So in terms of organization of systems, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. You got to figure out what works well for you. Because for some people, unless it's on pen and paper, they will not watch, listen to, focus on it at all. If it's not on a whiteboard, they won't watch, listen, or focus on it at all. For some people, it works well on video, i.e. office people. You're not going to set your field staff in a video room for 8 hours their first day and then retain anything about the systems of how to mow a lawn or do anything inside your business. It's not going to happen. So what I would focus on is customizing the system organization to your style and the position. So for example, when we're training someone at Command Center, there's a hybrid of in-person training, live calls like role playing, and then where they do video training. And then there is what's the other one? Analyze. They analyze what a call went through and stuff like that. Works great for that. For someone on the field, typically hands-on, these are the systems that we use, and then having some sort of a system around the training. For example, 2 weeks. Okay, what are they expected to learn? Is there a performance improvement plan? How do you rank them? How do you rate them on certain tasks, etc.? So every single position in the business needs to have a customized way of organization of the systems. Some people are like checklist to the moon, checklist. Great. Do your guys use them? Because if they don't use them, they're useless. And so you've got to customize whatever system you are going to have. And if you're a checklist person, great. Make great checklists that people are actually going to utilize. My question is, are people going to use the same checklist 20 times in a day? That is the thing you got to ask yourself. Okay. So, and are you making checklists, and is the system actually more cumbersome than having no system at all? Okay. The reason that you need to have a checklist when you're having a 747 takeoff and landing is because it's a big deal. A lot of people's lives are at stake, and it is worth taking the time to do that. You do not need a checklist on how to start the truck. Like imagine if you're like, okay, checklist. Okay, everyone needs to have a checklist to start the trucks. Okay, great. Step 1, walk around the truck and kick the tires. Let's go. Number 2, check the brakes. Number 3, check the gas. Number 4, check the oil. Number 5, check your indicators. Number 6, check that your key is the correct one. It's matched up with the code on the truck. Whatever it was, put it in the ignition. Fire it up. Okay. Number 8B, if it does not ignite, check the battery terminal. Like if you're going to do that to start the truck, trust me, no one's going to use the checklist after the first 1 or 2 times doing it, because it's more cumbersome to use the checklist than just to, oh, it doesn't work. Let's go figure out a solution. Or truck on 99.99% of the time. We're good. Walk around the truck one time. I'm in the truck. Like, so don't create systems around stuff that's stupid, because if you start doing that, people will not use the systems for the things that are useful, necessary, and actually important to use inside the business. All right. I appreciate you all. Sorry I didn't get to the questions inside the chat. Today I want to do the call-in show. I've just been very busy inside the businesses right now. We're doing a lot of stuff, and I'm really looking forward to conference. My focus is shifting that direction over the next couple of weeks. It is January 5th, 6th, and 7th. If you have a lawn care or landscaping business, you want to be there. Trust me. There are 2 things we are announcing this year that are going to change this industry. And I said when I started Augusta that within 5 years, it would be very clear that we'd have an advantage, a unique advantage, and an unfair advantage against the industry. We are 3 years into that, and it's going to start looking, you're going to start seeing what that looks like. And it's going to be a game changer. And it's going to be the tip of what we're trying to do. And I think that you really want to be there. We're going to have some great speakers. Corey Ballard's going to be there. Tommy Mello, who has a $100+ million business, is going to be there. I'll be speaking. Marcus Vandervliet, who talked last year, he does $7 to $20 million landscape, hardscaping, massive constructions. He's going to be talking a lot about the project management side of things, managing large jobs, estimating processes, creating systems around your estimates. It's going to be a fantastic event. You got to be there. All right. I do not make a single penny on these things. Okay. And if you talk to the media team, like Zach and et cetera, they know because they write the checks out for these bad boys when it comes to the media side and the conference and the food and the speakers and all this other stuff that we put money into. We don't make money. All right. Please come and be there. It's going to be an incredible event. If you have a lawn care landscaping business, you got to be there. It's going to be awesome. I'll see you guys there. Landscape Summit. Just go to mikeandys.com/summit. Bring your manager, bring your employees, bring your spouse. We're going to have separate breakout sessions. You got the likes of Corey Ballard's wife. She's going to be Lindsay. She's going to be on a panel of other ladies talking about how to support their spouse in running the business. And what some people don't know is that Lindsay runs the whole back end of Ballard Products, started it when they was like in their garage. Lots of experience. Liz, my office manager, that became operations manager and COO of Augusta Lawn Care. She's going to be on the panel. She's going to be speaking. You're going to be hearing from a lot of other employees and staff members in what we call the support track. So it's going to be a separate room. So they're going to be talking about that stuff. And then owners, we're going to be talking about some very deep level stuff as well. It's going to be an incredible event. Please be there, and you will not regret it. I promise you that. All right, guys. Have a great Sunday. Appreciate it.